our feelings versus our intuition. Many times we might think that we might mistake our feelings for our intuition or think they're the same thing, but they're different. When we're learning about our feminine energy, when we're getting in flow with ourselves, this is a beautiful experience. Learning to listen within. How do you listen to the voice within yourself, which is your inner compass, your inner guide, your spirit? How are you able to tell what is your spirit speaking to you versus what are other voices or feelings? The external versus the internal. So let's get into it. So what's the difference between your feelings and your intuition? Your feelings, picture them as clouds in the sky, and the sky is constantly changing. Clouds float and they move on by. Your feelings are constantly changing. And that's why we hear a lot of times, don't be led by your feelings. Or many people suppress their feelings because they don't like them. Feelings can feel good or feel bad, stormy, chaotic, make you feel sad, or make you feel happy, excited, scared. Those are your feelings. But that's different from your intuition. Your intuition is your deeper knowing. When you release your feelings, you can hear your intuition. Your feelings change, but your intuition remains. How do you discern between your feelings and your intuition? Your feelings are dependent on the circumstance, but your intuition remains the same. It's that inner knowing. It doesn't change. It's found deep within. Our feelings can confuse us sometimes. Have you ever had mixed feelings? Have you ever been in a bad mood? Right? So your feelings are kind of like your mood. I love to tell you guys what I've learned and what's helped me on my journey is to first recognize my feelings, acknowledge them, because the world we're in has taught us to disconnect from our feelings, ignore our feelings, and that doesn't serve us. Your feelings are your guide. They're making you aware of how you feel inside. Validate yourself, honor yourself in this way, respect yourself, respect your feelings because they're a part of you, but you're not your feelings. You're more than your feelings, and your feelings can change. So let's say you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or something goes wrong in your life, and so now you're in a bad mood, or one day you feel more happy than the next. So your feelings are always changing. Honor them, respect them, make space for them so that you don't suppress them. That's the main thing. The reason why I say to honor your feelings is because when you suppress how you feel, you are out of tune with yourself. Yes, your feelings are fleeting. Yes, they change. But give yourself space and room to feel how you feel. What is it teaching you? Because everything has purpose. But your feelings are not your intuition. Your intuition doesn't change. Your intuition is that inner guide, that inner compass. Your intuition is the spirit, whereas your feelings are the ego. Okay, so this is how I'm beginning to see it in my own life. And this helps to ground me. Come back to your intuition, but it takes some conscious effort because you have to be in stillness. You have to go deep within. You have to release your feelings that are ever changing and tap in to your intuition, which is your inner voice. This is how you listen to your inner voice. Let's give an example. Let's say you're watching a movie. You guys, I just saw Pride and Prejudice for the first time and was like, oh my gosh, why did I wait this long? It was so beautiful. Shout out to the person who recommended it. But yeah, so I loved that movie. Okay, so your feelings versus your intuition. Let's say you start watching any romance movie and it makes you cry. Go ahead and cry. Because remember, some people don't want to feel their feelings. They feel ashamed to cry. They feel weak. They ignore their feelings, suppress them. When you allow yourself to cry, these are your feelings. And it's very beautiful. It's a release. Everything serves a purpose. That's how you feel. You start feeling some kind of way. You're listening to the thoughts in your mind, which are creating the feelings, and back and forth. The feelings are creating more thoughts, and now you're spiraling. Okay. Let's say when the movie is over, You start to relate the movie to your partner, and now you're like feeling some kind of way toward your partner. But it's just temporary. Your intuition knows that that was like, how can I explain this better? Okay, here's a good example. Let's say you have a dream about your partner and they do something horrible in the dream. Let's say they cheat on you in the dream, right? And you're like, you wake up and now you're triggered and you're like, you hit them with the pillow and you're like, I had a dream about you cheated on me. And they wait, like, what do you mean? Well, in the dream, this happened. And that's how you're feeling. But it doesn't make it real in a way. Yes, your feelings are real. But what happened in the dream, like they didn't really do that, right? Okay, so let's say you're mad for all the morning, whatever. You go to work and you're like thinking about it and whatever. But then by lunchtime, you've had like a Caesar salad and you're chilling out, right? And you're like, oh, you recognize that your feelings were just feelings. Now you feel differently. Maybe you call them to apologize. The feeling you had in the AM was anger, fear. But then later on, your intuition kicks in when you release those feelings and you recognize like, oh, no, they love me. They would never do that. I love them. Our relationship is solid. Okay, so your intuition is that inner voice deep within, not the feelings that are ever changing, but the deeper voice. Your feelings versus your intuition, it sounds interchangeable. Let's say you have this boss at work, right? And your intuition, deep inside, you can just tell that they don't really like you. And you don't know why. Maybe you do know why. Who knows? But so that's what your intuition, deep inside, you don't really know why, but you have a gut feeling that they don't like you. See, gut feeling, intuition, it can be, we can mix it up. Okay. But let's say you have a deep knowing, an inner knowing that, oh, you guys just really don't vibe. Maybe you're not their cup of tea or whatever. Okay. So, but let's say you guys go to a party, a holiday party, and your boss is there and they're treating you really well. Like maybe they had some drinks and they're feeling fun and happy and you guys are dancing. And so then there's good feelings, good vibes. And the feelings would tell you that, oh, maybe they do. Maybe it was all in your head and maybe you guys get along just fine or something like that. Okay. So, but the next day at work, they're right back, treating you right back the way they did before, right? Get me a coffee and you never do anything right. And they're being like rude to you again. The feelings were temporary. They were maybe tipsy, but your intuition was spot on. And so whereas feelings change, your intuition remains the same. And so I think I wanted to make this video because sometimes our feelings can confuse us and we can try to identify with our feelings too much. This is something I'm learning on my own journey, and it's a very humbling experience to recognize my pride and my ego, because your feelings are a part of the ego, your personality, and how you're feeling in that moment. It can change, it's fluctuating, but the intuition is the spirit and it remains the same. And yeah, so be mindful. How can you tell the difference between your feelings and your intuition? And when you want to hear that inner voice, because sometimes we're going to make decisions off our feelings, but just be careful because your feelings can change. You don't want to be too impulsive. And you don't want to, let's say you're afraid about something. Your feelings are telling you you're afraid. You feel afraid. You might mistake that as your intuition to be like, oh, don't do this. But have you really tapped into your intuition? How do you do this? How do you listen to your inner voice and decipher a bad feeling or a great feeling versus the truth within? Because it's found within and it remains the same. How you do it is you quiet your mind. You focus on your breathing. You humble yourself. And you connect within, not your mental space. Within, in your sacral, in your solar plexus, in your gut. You tap in, release every thought. You cannot think your intuition into being. You cannot rationalize it. I've found that it's very clear and it's very concise. Your mind may be full of feelings and emotions and thoughts. You're trying to piece things together. But your intuition will take all of that, a 40-page for a 40-page paper, and it will put it into one sentence with the answer for you, because it's your spirit. And it's clear. It's not confusing at all. So whereas your feelings can confuse you sometimes, your intuition is clear. And we want to learn to trust it. Okay, so I encourage you to tap into your intuition, to feel your feelings, recognize them, but to really be led from your intuition, which is a deeper knowing within. Sometimes your feelings will contradict your intuition. So we want to learn to observe our feelings, observe our thoughts, honor them, but release what doesn't serve, and be in alignment with your intuition, which takes humility, and it takes releasing, and it takes trust. So it's an active thing that we do to trust our intuition. It's an active thing we do to tap in, to hear our inner voice, but you can do it. We all can, and you do this through meditation. You do this through stillness. You do this through releasing and just being, okay, to get in tune with your spirit. I hope that this helped you in some way to see the difference between your feelings versus your intuition. Drop me a comment. I would love to know your thoughts on this. I'm sending you so much love and healing and power on your journey. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.